Hello and welcome to the channel. You are live with Endeavor Gaming. Today, as promised, we are going to be checking out the Crossfield-Class Science Spearhead Refit out of the new lockbox. So let's just go on ahead and get into it. Here we are, back in Star Trek Online. Guys, I have been excited for this ship for so long, but it's here. We've finally got it. The Crossfield-Class Science Spearhead Refit. The discovery that we saw in Season 3 of Star Trek Discovery. So, let's take a look at it, shall we? So, we've got our standard Science Spearhead Refit, or Science Spearhead setup on here. 4-through weapon layout. Pretty standard as far as consoles. 5 science, 3 engineering, 3 tactical, but a lot of interesting stuff comes in because this ship is Miracle Worker. That means we get universal console slots, and we did not put them to waste. Already got this thing upgraded to T6X, so we've got that second universal console slot. So let's just take a moment and go down the list and see how this build turns out. In the front, we've got our oh-so-favorite Dark Matter Quantum Torpedo Launcher, as well as 2 32nd Century Refit Phaser Dual Beam Banks. Rounding out, we also have this standard 32nd Century one. I'm still trying to decide which one I like more, so it's staying on for now, but it might switch to a Refit, or the other 2 might switch to the normal ones. Because we're running science, I went with the Revolutionary set, tried and true. So we got a Revolutionary Deflector. For our secondary deflector, we have a Fleet Research Lab secondary deflector, the Strategic Deteriorating. Rolled for Crit X ×2, EPG Shield Heal, EPG, and SA plus damage. So very nice. As always, for Impulse, we were running the competitive engines because we like to go fast here at yard 28. Warp Core rounding out the Revolutionary set, obviously, and then we have the shield. Now in the rear, because I was playing the Exchange and did oh so very well at it, I have the Inhibiting Omni because it's a powerful Omni that I have, but what really stands out is this Omnidirectional Federation Phaser Beam Array, the 32nd Century Refit version. This is going to be a fun one because the more I can get this thing to fire off, the more that proc chance has, and, you know, the more cooldown I can get. Now we've also got a turret here as well, and this will be fun to play around with and see what we can do. For devices, we've got our standard science complement here, the Exotic Particle Flood, some Deuterium Surplus, the Phased Waveform Beacon, and the Kobayashi Maru Transponder. So, let's head into our consoles. We have the Parasitic Ice Containment Vessel, another console from this lockbox. Does cold damage, seems pretty fun, gives us a boost to EPG, which is always appreciated on a science build like this, so we'll try it out. As always, gotta have Lorca's console on here. Crit chance, weapon power setting, and shield pen. As well as it, giving me that 2-piece set. Always nice. To help max out my control here, I also threw on a conductive RCS accelerator. Because my power levels really favor weapon power and auxiliary, I didn't have a lot to put into engine, so I threw this on to sort of fill the difference. We've got DPRM. I really don't have to explain this. You guys have seen my video on Twitch of me absolutely wrecking our group of Klingons and saving my own skin with this console. It stays on. Constriction Anchor, bonus exotic damage. Gotta go for it. Same thing here. Bonus exotic damage. Auxiliary Ejection Assembly comes off of the Kelvin Connie or the legendary Kelvin Connie. Tachyokinetic Converter giving us crit chance and crit severity as well as some nice control. Delphic Tear, giving us, once again, bonus exotic damage as well as a nice boost to our crit severity. Domino, running phasers can't go wrong. The Assimilated module for that control, once again, and our crits. Going down to tactical, we got the retrofitted Assimilator, giving us that big boost to our EPG and our control, as well as a nice little clicky for assimilating ships. Binaural to give us a little bit more control and a big boost to crit severity, and lastly, Chronometric Capacitor. If you guys are going to run Dusai, I highly recommend this console. Gives you a little boost to your weapon power setting, gives you a boost to EPG, and gives you a boost to torpedo weapon damage. It's a great one to have. So let's move on to the traits that we're running on here. This is still sort of in the air. I've been testing random stuff out. We got super weapon ingenuity, beam overload, gotta have it. I've been trying out this new trait that comes off of the ship, universal designs. It's basically like critical systems, except it's on activation of a universal console, which is useful for two reasons. One, I have a lot of universal consoles with clickies. Two, I don't have any emergency power abilities, so gotta get something. Improved gravity well stands to reason, be useful since we are running gravity well 3 on this. Best hope of the Empire, give us a little extra oomph to our beam overload. Promise of ferocity, since we've got so many tack abilities on here that we'll get into. This seems like a pretty solid choice. And lastly, improved photonic officer. This is to help, give us that extra bonus exotic damage while we're doing stuff, as well as, cooldown reduction, always a nice one. And our space reputation, Tyler's duality to give us some crit chance. Some bonus damage and accuracy based off of our Ox level, which should be maxed out. Magnified firepower, precision, and advanced targeting systems. So, moving on, let's take a look at our bridge officers. So first, we got our universal lieutenant commander slot, where we are running an SRO. We have distributed targeting, cannon scouter volley, and beam overload 3. For this lieutenant science station, we have a Kentari, so we're running hazard emitters and our photonic officer. In the second lieutenant commander, we're running, of course, tactical. This is another SRO, the second SRO, chemocyte laced weaponry 1, torpedo spread 2, and attack pattern beta 2. Now, I have been thinking about switching these two. I might. That'll just be something I sort of decide on the fly. It really doesn't matter. In the one engineer slot, we just got a whole heal. And just in case ish hits the fan, you never know when you might need it. And lastly, we have Wei Yun. And I forgot to mention, this right here is our Kentari. And then we have Wei Yun. He's running Tachyon Beam, Destabilizing Resonance Beam, Mixed Armaments Synergy, and Gravity Well. These two are to proc off my secondary deflector, and come on, you can't go wrong with Mixed Armaments Synergy. If you got Miracle Worker, this is the thing to run. You can get so much extra damage from running this. And our Gravity Well theory is going to help us pull everything together. Lastly, for this setup, I've got a nice little set of duty officers. So first, we got our chance for stacking crit chance on firing projectiles. Useful one, if you've got a purple, that's great. I don't have one right now, so this blue will be fine. Next, we have the Suliban. Chance for beam overload to cause all attacks against the target to gain 35% shield pen. Very useful one because when it procs, with the Lorca console, you're basically ignoring shields. It is so useful. And we've got our 3 Borg bridge officers. These are nice. 19 of 47 on engineering gives you a 15% chance of setting power levels to maximum for 5 seconds. And then on Miracle Worker has a 30% chance of improving weapon armor penetration by 20 for 30 seconds. Second, 24 of 47. When activating a tactical ability, 15% chance of setting the power levels to max for 5 seconds. And on Miracle Worker, a 30% chance to improve crit chance by 2.5 for 30 seconds. And lastly, 29. When activating a science ability, 15% chance of setting power levels to max for 5 seconds. And on Miracle Worker, 30% chance to improve exotic damage by 25% for 30 seconds. So if you guys didn't notice, all 3 of these will help me set my power levels to max, which is always great for my min-max builds. And they all give benefits on activating Miracle Worker. That means my chance of actually losing out and not having something activate when I throw up this mixed armaments energy is pretty low. And lastly, to round out our fun little science build, chance to create aftershock gravity wells. This is one I highly recommend, especially for people who are doing pure science or even do-sci. This is a great duty officer to have. So, let's bring it into some tests, shall we? Like we did with the D7, let's start with Wanted and see how it gets through on damage. Into battle we go. I have to say, I really love all the animations they've added with this ship as well. So the nacelles start detached whenever you're flying around at impulse, but when you go to warp, the two nacelles will connect back to the ship before jumping, and the normal disc spinning and spore jump from the original Crossfield makes its return again with this refit. So for those of you that were fans of that, luckily it's not going anywhere. Let's see what this thing can do.
Entered an area controlled by the Bentham Guard. Our scans indicate your ship is armed and operational, and you have demonstrated your ability to assist in an ongoing operation. You will either join our squadron as a deputized Protectorate officer, or clear the area immediately. You are now my deputy. Looks like our fight got them to notice us. Let's go over and see if their saws might come out of hiding.
Well, I would say that that test was a rousing success. It got through this patrol, no problems whatsoever. So
Thank you for
damage
your
wise,
assistance. We've
this ship
recently
gets a solid pass.
We have the suspect in custody now, and we also apprehended
So
a
let's
fair-
go ahead and warp out, and let's begin our second test, the arguably more important test when running things like missions and TFOs, and that's going to be its survivability. I like to do a TFO like Rescue and Search. It's something where you have to attack waves upon waves of enemies, so being able to stay alive is something that's very, very important. So let's go ahead and launch Rescue and Search and see if the Crossfield Refit can make it through.
Good to see you, my friend. As you can see, I'm in the middle of a firefight once again. As am I. In spite of our mission being scientific in nature, the rogue Klingons attacked us all the same. We can ponder their motivations further once the shooting stops. For now... Sensors are clear, for the moment. I'm afraid I have some bad news, however. 2 of our ships were studying...
That rift's...
Klingon vessels are bolting into your position.
Thank you for coming to our aid. Some sort of energy surge erupted from the rift and hit us. Truly, the blessings of Lucar are upon us this day. Thank you.
Our systems are coming back online nicely. My thanks to you and your crew.
Under the circumstances, I think it...
If you feel that's for the best.
That's one less rift to worry about. Let's regroup with Kamarka.
Bad news, I'm afraid. Klingons are approaching our position.
Oof. That was quite the hit there. You saw we were sort of dangling right around the 5% range there. So, an important thing to note when doing science, it draws a whole lot of attention from your enemies. Be ready. Things like DPRM are helpful, but keep in mind, especially against Klingons like these, they can debuff you, meaning they can take the abilities of your DPRM and make them not so useful, as you can see here. This is far from the last patrol we did in the D7, where we had all the whole strength in the world. We don't get the same treatment with this ship, unfortunately. So, survivability, I would definitely rank it below the D7. It's definitely not the worst I've ever seen, though. We are doing this on Elite after all. So let's go on with some of the things we've learned and see what we can do.
Let's deal with the stragglers, shall we? I think that was the last of Indeed.
Overall, I would say that this ship gets a solid 7 out of 10 for survivability. As a science ship, it's not built to be super tanky. But keep in mind, something I did not use, which is an option for when you're taking shots like that, is this thing does have a battle cloak. I can't find it on the bar right now, but it is on here somewhere. The ship is equipped with a battle cloak like all the other 32nd century vessels, and that is always something you can use to get out of a pinch at the last minute. So overall, I'd say for this ship, it gets a solid 9 out of 10 in damage and around a 7 out of 10 for survivability. This lockbox has definitely been one of the most fun ones to hit the game. The weapons in it seem really interesting and I love the visuals off of them. The console is a ton of fun to work with and is great for science builds. The costume is really nice that comes out of the Lobby store, and I haven't messed around too much with the ground weapon or the kits yet, but that will be on my list. So let me know by dropping a like if you'd like to see me do a video on some of the ground gear and some of the other stuff in the lockbox. As always, you have been live with Endeavor Gaming. Remember, check out my Twitch, the link can be found in the description. Go join up on the Discord, and have a great day. Remember everyone, keep calm and game on.